Boys and girls, today is so exciting because you are finally going to be able to take the doors that you made. What I did was I let them dry and then I put them in the kiln at 2,000 degrees. And you will now notice that when you click it, it is ceramic. And you could put this underwater for the rest of your life and all future generations, and it's going to sit there as nice as pie. Amazing! So it will last forever unless you drop it on the way home. Note to self. Now, friends, today we are going to be glazing it. Now, this is specifically for ceramic, and it's paint that thrives on being in 2,000 degree heat. So this just happens to be a different color glaze. It's called Fiorentina right here. It's a nice dark. It's nice and creamy. There's water in it. There's actually watered down clay. There's color and there's glass. They take glass from same kind of glass that would be in a window, grind it up into a fine powder. And what they do is they mix that in there so that when you take your brush and you pick up some glaze on here and you brush it onto your project, what you're adding is a little bit of clay, a little bit of water that this is going to absorb, a little bit of color, and a little bit of glass. So that when this goes into the kiln at 2,000 degrees, this is going to adhere. The clay is going to bind to the other clay, and the color is going to stay vibrant, and the glass is going to melt and make a perfect layer of shine. Now, for today, we are going to be using an assortment of brushes. I'm going to have some bigger ones all the way down to a fine brush. We're going to have water wells here for you, and we're also going to be having rags. Here's the deal. Every table has a different color family, and we're going to have all different. We're going to have a green table, brown table, gray table, red and pink, etc., etc. The supplies that are at that table stay at that table. So the brushes that are at this purple table stay at this table. The rags that are at this table stay at this table. If you use these purpley colors on your piece and then you want to go to the green table, the only thing you bring with you is your door. You do not bring supplies from this table over to another. Now, why do we have 3 different sizes? Because the first thing we're going to do is what we call flood. We want to be able to get a color background on here that's going to get into every single adorable nook and cranny. Like this is really nice, but I'm just going to show you something. Do you see how there are little white spaces here and here and in between right there? There's white spaces in there. This person has all those little white spaces in there. This person, you can see there's no white showing on there, even in the tiniest of spaces. Now, did they take a detail brush and get in there and spend 12 hours doing that? No. What they did was they started off by flooding, and that's what we're going to do. The first thing we're doing is flooding. You are going to say, what is the color that I would like on my background? I've decided that I would like for it to be this purple. I'm going to take the biggest brush. You're going to start the biggest. You are simply going to take that brush, dip it into the water, and I want you to get the whole thing wet. It's like you're giving your thing a big old bath. So I'm going to take this very wet brush. I'm going to dip it into this purple. I'm just going to pick a little bit up. And I'm going to start. And do you see how it acts like watercolor? Do you see how it's already spreading into the grooves? That's what I'm looking for. Because then I'm going to have every single bit of it painted. Now you might think, oh, well, I want my turtle to be green. But I'm going to tell you, what I want you to do is I want you to even paint your turtle. I want you to paint every single bit of this. I want you to turn it to the side and I want you to poke it in there. And you don't even have to keep going into the purple. You can just keep going back to the water. I just want it to be that you have a certain amount of color on here. And if you know that you want this part to be a little darker, you can add more pigment there and do less on the turtles since you do know that you want it to be green. But I want you to go over your rocks. I want you to turn it to the side. Some kids say, do I have to go to the back? No. But I want you to get in every nook and cranny. And I now have purple on the whole thing. Now, at this point, if you would like to use another color at this table, go for it. If you are thinking, no, I want to start to do my turtle, then you can travel to the turtles, to the green station. So because I just had darker purple on here, I'm going to take my rag and I'm just going to go like that. Later on, even if I had a nice amount of glaze on there and I wanted to go into the pink, all I do is do this. We're never going to use our water over here for rinsing out your brush, okay? So now that I've pinched that off of there, I'm going to go into this color, but this time I am not going to wet my brush. I actually want it to be quite dry because when I go on here, I want to be able to put a thick layer of glaze on here. I'm not doing wash anymore. Now I'm really trying to glob on a nice amount. And notice how much slower I'm being now. Notice how I'm turning it to the side and I'm trying to get it on there. I'm trying not to get it to touch my background even. I'd really like for this purple to only be on that one little rock there. So I might decide that I'm just going to do a couple of rocks around here with that color. What am I going to do with this? I'm going to take the rag, I'm going to pinch this off, and I'm going to put it back into right here at the station. And now I'm going to take this one and go to another station to continue. Now that I'm at this station, this is where I kind of want to remind you that I had given you different size brushes. So we started with the really big one, but now you, depending on what you're doing, you may want to start to use some of these smaller brushes. So now that I'm at this table, I think I'm going to choose this size brush. I can leave my piece on here or I can just kind of hold it on in my hand. And so I'm not having any water at all. You can always just kind of do it on the side here if it seems too drippy. And I'm just going to go and just kind of figure that this guy has like seaweed on here. And again, I'm going to rotate it a little bit in my hand so I can get it on there. And from here, I'm just going to continue to move around the room, choosing colors that I like. I decided to stay at this green station because I like that vibrant green. That's kind of a chartreuse color. But if I want to move on to something else, just remember I'm going to pinch off that color using the rag. I'm going to leave everything behind at that table and move forward with my door. Have fun!